Greetings, everyone. Coach Jay Ridgway, bringing you the next edition of the Endurance Life 360. And it's an exciting edition because I'm bringing to the audience one of my past athletes who is now competing at the highest levels, qualified for Team USA for the Paris 2024 Paralympics. Excited to bring to our show, Mohamed Lahna. Mohamed, welcome to the show.
Hey,
How are you, sir?
good, good. Hi, Coach. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, excited to finally do this. This is something that I've been wanting to do, as I told you in our pregame here. It's been a long time and just incredible journey that you had that I'm super excited to share with the audience here. And the audience, just be aware, this is an Olympic medalist, everybody, an Olympic bronze medalist from the Rio Games 2016, competing back and then for his home country. We'll talk about here in a second. And now, fast forward 8 years later with some drama in between, which we'll talk about, now representing Team USA as a US citizen, and just super excited to be able to share the story. Our story goes back, we were just talking about this, it's 2024. We go back to 2011, and we'll talk a little bit about what the first opportunities were together. But, Mohamed, let's kind of talk about, where did you grow up? Where are you from? Let's talk about that journey there, and then maybe kind of how did you make your travel to the US, and where has that taken you to?
Yeah. I was born in Casablanca, Morocco.
Mm.
Um, Born with the birth defect. So back then, uh, like all my other siblings were born at home, and you have like the midwife from the neighborhood comes to deliver the baby, whatever. And it was a big shock for the family. I was born with the birth defect on my right side. I'm missing part of my right side of the hip, and also like the femur, missing the femur, missing the the knee. So I have a tibia and a foot. So it's a condition called PFFD. So yeah, my parent didn't know what to do. Went to see local doctors. They just say take him home and take care of him. That's it.
Yeah.
This is what they did. Um, as soon as I start walking, my dad took me to like, because I was walking like a funky, didn't have access to prosthetists or anything, so just putting stack up foam on under my shoes to balance the height, the difference that I had. And once I start moving, running around, and in Morocco, like all you guys know, soccer is the game. Everybody plays soccer, and I grew up playing soccer like crazy. Uh, I started playing soccer with crutches all my childhood.
Mm.
I don't know anything besides soccer. Um,
Mm.
and my introduction to other sports was through my dad. My dad was a taxi driver, and one day he had this client in his was trying to like take him to his destination. And this guy, my dad noticed he has crutches, and they start talking. My son has a disability, blah blah blah. And he said, "I want to see your son." And so he came to our house, and I remember this guy coming. My dad called me to come say hi, and this tall guy uh tried to shake my hand with his massive hand. Because I remember, so this guy, until today, he's the only Paralympic medalist in swimming in Morocco, both able body and Paralympics in Morocco until day. Like he's the only like elite Paralympic swimmer.
Wow.
That Yeah. And so this guy,
His
uh
name? What was his name, Mohamed?
his name is uh Jalal Biyar. And this guy came, and he said,
Cool.
I'm gonna take you with me to the pool one day. And he was very well respected. And he one time he came back and took me to the pool. I never been to a pool before, never in my life. I don't know how to swim. So it was like a 50-meter is under the stadium in Casablanca, and went there, and I was so wow, the chlorine, the noise, the echo, and everything is like still ingrained in my brain.
How old were you at that point, my friend? How old were you?
I was like, I would say 8, 9.
Yeah. So overwhelming.
Oh yeah, it's like crazy experience. And then he told me like just sit on the border of the pool, play with your leg,
Yeah.
and I'll do my workout and come play with you a little bit. I say,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. I was like, okay, this is good. I'm happy to be here. And I don't know, like a few minutes later, this lifeguard walking by, and he asked me, hey, what you doing here? do you know how to swim? I look at him, I was panicking like he's gonna kick me out the pool. Say yes. Say he should show me. I say, okay. So I jumped in the pool and I drowned right away, of course. So it was a scene in the pool and everything. But anyway, I said, okay, I need to learn how to swim. And yeah, so that was like since then, I managed to it was not easy, but I managed to get like one session a week to learn how to swim.
Yeah. He took
Uh,
you under he took you under his wing.
yeah, so and he
Yeah.
was busy, so he had to travel for racing and all this stuff. So I
Yeah.
I, I joined like a team where I start swimming with them once a week and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That was like that was the first time I heard about the Paralympic Games, the Olympic Games. That was the first time like, wow, what's that? And then back then we didn't have access to internet or anything, but it's just something that I memorized and it was
Yeah.
stuck with me. And I mean, my parents, like we were a very modest family, so education was the priority number one. Like the
Yeah.
pool was very far away, like to get there, you have to take two buses and all this stuff. So it's not
Yeah.
like something that
It was
we
convenient.
we could
Yeah.
do. Yeah, so Casablanca is a massive city.
Yeah.
So education, I mean, I was swimming once a while, racing local with the with the with in Casablanca and also in Morocco, like doing this annual championship. It was very low level, but it was just for me. That was like the highlight of back then. And fast forward until I had my parents, they want me to focus on my education and got my degree, start working as a graphic designer.
Mm.
And then I discovered cycling for the first time and say, "Oh boy, I love this. This is good, cycling." And yeah, I start cycling. I started with mountain biking actually. In Morocco, there is amazing mountain biking everywhere in the Atlas Mountain, like endless trails there, like singles, like whatever you want.
Yep.
So I cycled for so many years, doing mountain bike, some like just road, casual road, and then um, in 2006 I was invited to this like 5 days bike track in France, and I went there, um like talking to people. This is where I discovered triathlon, and back
Mm.
then my French was not really good, so I asked the guy to write it down for me because I was curious, what is this sport? This guy, like he was a BK MPT and he was doing triathlon. So I went back home. I started looking triathlon. What is triathlon? What is triathlon for people with disability? And this is how I got into triathlon. It was not an easy path because so I know how to swim, I can cycle, but for running, I couldn't run because I don't have the hip sockets, and my doctor back then told me that there is no way you can run. I started like doing swim, bike, and racing wheelchair. This is how I did my first triathlons.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And back then we didn't have any triathlons in Morocco. I had to go to Europe to race, and it
But
was like,
how did you do that? I mean, two things. One, prosthetics back in that day were evolving. They were
yeah,
present, but they were extremely expensive, right?
yes.
And probably not something. I mean, were there athletes with prosthetics? Was Gerard, the gentleman you're working with, was he working? I mean, he was swimming, right? So he didn't
Yeah.
necessarily need a
No, he
prosthetic for
didn't have.
that, right?
No, he has polio. So I had
Okay.
my friend, like I meet up with this guy. His name is Patrice. He's a prosthetist who he's from France, but he was living in Morocco.
Mm,
And we were buddies, and he loved cycling, and he was pushing me for triathlon. And this is how
got it.
we were trying to get around all this equipment. He made me my first bike leg then, and
Cool.
it's
Very
like
cool.
yeah, I was like excited about that. And then yeah, back then triathlon was not yet a Paralympic sport. I think they
Yeah.
just started having those events here and there. And so I will go like this two triathlons in France. And a funny thing, like a funny story, I did my first triathlon in France in this small city, and then I did another one in this area called Les Vosges, north of France. And this no, it's called the de Gérardmer. And this triathlon, I didn't know this. So this is like, anyway, back then I didn't know this. They had this, you can win an entry to Alcatraz. And it's
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
this is crazy thing.
Small
And
world.
for me, what is this Alcatraz? Why this is a big deal? Why people like I didn't know anything. And like it was on all the bibs like for the race, like you can win like an entry to Alcatraz and all this stuff. And I'm just collecting this information and have no idea. I'm just still new to the sport.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just like a side note.
Wow. Wow. What serendipitous nature for, foreshadowing the future that had you not known that, right? That's
I
crazy.
didn't know where Alcatraz or San Francisco is back
Yeah.
then.
Well, halfway around the world, right? Almost halfway around the world, right?
Yeah, and so I started doing triathlon, and then the ITU back then just started the World Triathlon, just started having event,
Yeah.
and they say like there is categories, there is rules. If you swim and use a regular bike, you need to use a running leg.
Yep.
So I can't use a running leg. I say I like find a way.
Yep.
So I remember I did my first triathlon with the ITU in 2008, and I used crutches
Ah,
to do the 5K run. It was in Budapest.
yeah.
So that was my first triathlon. Like that went, I was happy. I was excited. Anyway,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
with all the people. And just like I got like deeper into the weed, like learning about triathlon, Ironman distance, and all this stuff. And I just want to do it all in one time, in 1 year.
Yeah. You got hooked on it big time. So this is late 2000s, right?
So this is 2008.
Yeah.
Yes.
So fast forward a few years later, somehow, some way, you and I serendipitously meet through a
Yes.
mutual friend of ours, Jeff Turner, who's also a challenged athlete
Yes.
at a track record that I hosted for 18 years at Kezar Stadium in San Francisco on Thursday nights at 6:30. And Jeff brought you out there, and that's how we crossed paths and became obviously friends and athletes and all that stuff. And you being a associate with Pac West for a period of time. I mean, how
Yes.
do you make the transition from racing in Europe, Morocco, France, Europe's racing 2008? Where do you make that transition to? I think at that point you were established in the United States, right?
Yeah, 2009. So 2009, it was my first visit to the US, and then I started. I met with the CAF, and then with Jeff Turner, and then because back then I was living in France for 2 years, and
Yeah.
then I made the move to the Bay Area. Uh, and this is where I started using running leg for the first time. It was like 2011, 2012.
Yep.
And like I was like that track workout in San Francisco was like running with all these able-bodied athletes, and for me it was like this is cool. Like there is no difference. You came here to train and get your ass kicked and do it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
He
it.
was hanging with all of my elite
Yeah.
amateur and pro athletes there, guys. I mean, Mohamed, obviously it went all in and is competing, back then, ITU, International Triathlon Union, now known as rebranded as World Triathlon. So they had the Paralympic, well, para triathlon programming, competing world championships and all that kind of stuff that eventually got introduced. And we'll talk a little bit about that
Yeah.
into the Olympic portfolio, which comes into play here momentarily. Let's take a one quick step back. I want to make sure credit's due. Um, Married, 3 kids. Everybody married, 3 kids. Ro Chen is your wife. She's
Yeah.
of Asian background, Chinese, but Canadian, initially Canadian citizenship as well too. When did you guys meet? When did you guys get married and all that?
Yeah, through sports. So I was fascinated about triathlon, and I found this training camp in Atlanta, Georgia,
Hmm.
and I went there in 2009, and she was there for her master's degree in Georgia Tech,
Hmm.
and I was there for the training
Did
camp.
not know that. Very cool.
And because back then I didn't speak English at all. I didn't know any English word.
And
I
you were
asked
able to bamboozle her into falling in
no,
love with
but
you?
no, no wait, but because she's Canadian, she speaks French, so we were both.
Oh, very cool. There
So
you go.
that was I didn't look for her. So basically, I didn't went there. So anybody speaks French. So I asked the person who is in charge of the training camp. I don't speak English. Is there any way you can find somebody who speak Arabic or French to help me to help translate? Because I want to learn what you guys doing, not just like
Yeah.
copy.
Yeah.
And the Mike, I went and asked Georgia Tech professors if anybody speaks French or Arabic. And Ru Chan was doing her master in prosthetist, orthotist. So it's on her field.
Yeah.
And she was interested into the field to know how elite athletes, Paralympic athlete train, who use a running leg, equipment, whatever. And she spoke French. So they pair her with me. And this is how it started, triathlon.
I love it. And so had they not known that they were matchmaking on top of getting a translator for
That's
you, yeah, they set her up for a future marriage. When did you guys get married?
a couple of years later. Yeah,
A
it
couple of
was,
years later.
we knew we were for each other and we made the move. And yeah,
Yeah, that's just super exciting. Three kids, the
yes.
boys. We were just talking about this before that we pressed record here. I remember the baby. I have a photo here that I'm going to share with the audience here momentarily. But two boys and a girl. What are the ages and what are their names?
Yeah, Adam 12, Sammy 8, and Sarah, little one, is 4 year old now.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah. And then we were
fast.
joking about how you were on a 4-year pattern, like the Olympic pattern there. You could tell this guy is an Olympian, everybody. 4-year
I have
pattern, right?
goals, goals, Olympic goals.
Yeah, well, let's do this real quick. I'm going to share the screen with the audience here. Maybe we can touch a little bit about, just again, the sharing and the selfish nature of me. Just, here's Mohamed. This is 2012 May. For those of you that have been around for a while, familiar with the sport of triathlon, one of the iconic events, sadly, it's not here anymore, but for 35 years was the Wildflower Triathlon down in Central California, Lake San Antonio. This is the infamous, you can see the major drop off here with these little specks of people coming up. This is Lynch Hill. This is coming out from the main transition area where you come out of the swim, get your bike. And this is Mohammed. We talked about his birth defect that he had here and with his special prosthesis leg to allow him to cycle. And then he's sporting at that point, we had the all white kit for the Pac West men's race team there, and nobody representing better in the kit than Mohammed right there, just flying up the hill here. So super fond memories of that part. You did really well that day. I mean, how did you do that day, by the way?
Man, Wildflower Triathlon is one of the best triathlon out there. The atmosphere, the people, the camping, it's
Yeah.
just the best experience out there. I think this is what triathlon should be about.
Yeah, yeah, it's sad that's not there anymore. Pac West was part of that for, all the years that up until that point that it was involved all the way up to the very last day. But here you are with me and then Rachel, girlfriend, longtime girlfriend at the time, one of my elite amateur athletes as well too. And then our buddy Creighton Wong,
Britain,
another
yeah,
one of my athletes here, good friend. We were just reminiscing about we both need to reach out to him and find out what the heck he's going because he's literally halfway around the world,
yeah,
married in Vietnam and doing all that stuff. But yeah, great memories there. You talked a little bit about CAF, in case the audience is not familiar with Challenge Athletes Foundation, based out of world headquarters in San Diego. Phenomenal, incredible organization. They've done a lot for so many athletes, including yourself and Creighton there with helping get equipment, the prostheses, their grant programs, things of that nature. Any comment you want to kind of
yeah.
add to that about
Yeah,
the,
the Challenge Art Foundation was has a huge impact on my career because like the community, like all the people, like with Creighton and all other athletes, like we share advice, we share knowledge about how to cycle, how to run, how to do all this stuff, but also like financially getting equipment.
yeah,
Also, as you mentioned, like CIF has grant for like for equipment and also for travel and coaching. So they are helping athletes, I mean, helping people with disability around the world to be active, regardless of your level. It doesn't need to be Paralympian or elite level. It can be a veteran, you just came from out an accident, you lost your leg, your kids, anybody with physical activity, physical disability is welcome to join this community and like be active, be healthy, and be happy. Yeah. That's
yeah, life-changing organization. Mohammed, I had like on episode 3 or 4, I had Alan Schenken, who
yeah,
who's a board member, one of my athletes from Pac West back in the day, who's below the knee amputee, and just his journey and involvement with just finding the organization and what the impact it has. So again, incredible organization. Finally, this one photo I just love. I know you had until just before we press record, but here's Roshan, his wife. And then this is
Adam.
Adam right here when he's just a little teeny little baby, everybody, and now he's 12 years old. Just mind-boggling to me how time has passed there. But any comments on that? Look how young you look there too. My goodness.
Oh boy, yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, I think my wife, yeah, helped me a lot. It's CAF, PacWest. A lot of people were like reflecting about this past 12 years. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And this is like I was in Sausalito. We used to do like this back-to-back century ride
Yep.
to fundraise for CAF. It was an amazing event. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I was partner to that. PacWest is part of that. Brought in a lot of my able-bodied athletes to come
athlete, yeah,
and be ride leaders and support you and Mohamed, you and Creighton and the rest of the,
yeah,
Alan Shankin. We had Robin Williams, one of the celebrity hosts. Rest in peace, Robin, as well as Bill Walton, Hall of Fame, NBA Hall of Famer. Fond memories of that event. Sadly, it's not there again, but just an amazing time during that period of time. And then I want to show you, fast forward to last year, last June. It was just phenomenal to be able to reconnect. I was at the Escape from Alcatraz, which you had just talked about, serendipitously, about how there was race entry into this thing. And here you are, what is it, 12 years later, we're meeting up. You're doing a relay that day, but I had, again, another athlete of mine, still coaching today, which is Dr. Blumenstock.
yeah.
A motorcycle accident. He's now 80 years old. Everybody going to be 81 this year. He had, 7 years ago, had an accident, got hit by a truck and had to have below the knee amputee done. He's racing. He's up on the podium that day. And so it was super cool to see Mohamed. And there is your middle son, Sammy. And then behind there is Adam,
See?
right? Sneaking on in,
Yeah.
photo bombing all of us there, but just super cool to see you. And Roshan was there as well, too, with your kids. Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw Ed this Saturday. We rode together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
Yeah.
rode. You guys were out doing a CIF ride out in the
Yeah.
Marin. I do miss not being, close anymore. I'm on the other side of the Sierra Nevadas from you in
Ah,
Reno and Tahoe area. But yeah, that's super cool that you guys are still connected there. But yeah, fond memories there. I'm gonna drop that down and then let's go into your LinkedIn has done a good job of sort of highlighting you guys here, and there's probably other areas too, but
yeah,
just want to show to the audience here. Here's USA Triathlon announcing the 14 members of the 2004 US Elite Para Triathlon National Team. They're going to
yeah.
represent in Paris. And right there on the national team, there's yours truly there, Mohammed, listed there. And then again, you said your category is the
PTS too.
PTS2, PCS2. You want to kind of talk about what that means? What is it?
So yeah, so we have like six categories, and PTS like one is like it's called the wheelchair category.
Yeah.
Athletes who use hand cycle and wheelchair for the bike and run, and PTS2 is the lowest standing category. People who are missing above the knee legs, and also people with some neurological issue too with us. So this is the lowest standing category, and there is 3 and 4 and 5. They're all categories like with upright and BKs, and the last one is the VI, the visually impaired category.
Right.
So this is in general very quick summary. It's more complicated, but this is just like
Yeah, well, I want to talk a little bit more on that because I've seen you race over the last year as you're trying to get your qualification, which you are
yeah,
now, to the audience. You are one of the lucky athletes that were able to qualify early, because I know they just had the big Miami Clash event last weekend where you had a couple of your colleagues that are still trying to qualify for Team USA. They're still racing, right? Right now, we'll talk about what your transition is as we come out of March and out of winter into spring, what your plans are here coming in, because you've got a big event coming in August, right? What are the dates, by the way, for the Paralympian triathletes triathlon in Paris? What are the
so
dates?
September 1st and September 2nd. I'll
Okay.
be racing September 1st,
Yeah.
8 a.m. local time. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Well, let's make sure we plug that before we go. So, switching over just a different page here. This is your actual. You have a great LinkedIn page here, which I meticulously try to keep up on with you. But Jim, some great highlights here. Again, just honoring you as part of the Team USA. This is a badass photo of you right there. I just love that. This is just showing that you were qualified
Yeah,
going into this, punching your ticket and qualifying there, and then some other things that, doing some professional. This is some documentary on you. So you want to talk
yeah,
a little bit about that too, just real quick, and maybe we can dive in a little bit further. But you have a
yeah,
documentary done, right?
yeah. It's ongoing right now,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be it's gonna be it's so far it's a really good project going on. Uh, like we're trying to film here in the USA, film in Morocco, and also in Colorado Springs, and
Mm.
also finish up in Paris. We try to capture the journey when it started from Morocco all the way to Paris. Yeah,
Can't wait to see that. Again, it's specifically you with various influencers and people coming on in.
yeah,
Derek's your coach, right?
yeah,
Yeah, Derek, Derek, I'm assuming he's in there talking because he's been a long time Paralympian head coach for USA Triathlon, right? So he's in Colorado Springs, so that's who you're going to be seeing here pretty soon. Is that right?
yeah. So I've been working with Derek. So because I lived in Colorado Springs for a couple of years and part of the USA Para Triathlon resident team. We had a really good group, and Derek was the coach. And after that, even though I moved out of Colorado Springs, I went back to California. I still work with him. We had good connection. He understand the para sports. I mean, he spent like, I don't know, the last 12 years or more with the para sport racing. So yeah, we still working together, going back to join his squad again. There as athletes, all with the list of athletes who secure their um, qualification to Paris, and we try to hammer it for 4 or 5 months every day until the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. You want to go backtrack, just kind of talk about the success you had in 2016 in Rio, but I mentioned this with the audience here. So it's March 12th. Um, you've got a big event coming in September, and that requires some sacrifice by you and particularly your family, right? Because I didn't mention that you're San Francisco in the Bay Area now, specifically in Hayward, California, East Bay. That family is not going to travel with you when you're doing that type of training, at least for the majority of it. They'll probably come out and visit you because you're going to make the move. You're going to jump on a plane, I'm
Yeah.
assuming, with your equipment from Hayward, and then you're going to fly into Colorado Springs. When does that happen?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like training for the Paralympics with full-time job and 3 kids is just very challenging. And
Yeah,
we don't want to like do things halfway. We want to do things the right way. And this is like the last game for me with my wife. We just say, let's go for it all out. So I'll be driving with my equipment, with my road bike, tri bike, all my equipment
so I thought, yeah,
to Colorado Springs, and then join the resident team there. The goal is just to get as much consistency as possible. My kids are in a really sweet age that I just want to be with them. I just want to be with the family.
yeah.
Like it's very hard to get everything done. So this is why like we need to focus, and sometimes there is no easy choice. You have to make some sacrifice. And yeah, my wife is on board. The kids are excited, and they will be able to join me like for a couple of weeks in July
Yeah.
in Colorado Springs, and then after that they come back for school, and then I will keep going on until September 1st.
So I'm doing the thing. So April,
Yeah,
May, June, July, August, and then September 1st, you're in
yeah,
you're in you're
five
in
months.
you're you're in France. So
Yeah,
5 months disconnect from both the family per se. Obviously, phones and FaceTime and all that stuff will come into play, but no physical, presence until they come out and visit you. And then you're taking some time off, and we didn't talk about that. I mean, what are you in your LinkedIn page there? Kind of maybe the audience saw, but you work for a big brand, right? And
yeah,
what do you do for them? What's going on? And then you're going to take some time off from them, right? What's going to
yeah. I work for Visa. It's been now a little over 2 years now, and I'm with the user experience design team. And yeah, it's also another thing you need to make some financial sacrifice too. I'm leaving for 6 months.
Yeah.
Trying to. It's one of these things. You love the sports. This is not gonna come back. I'm not gonna have another chance to do this. And money and we it's gonna come back. So we need to focus on what is important.
Yeah.
Um, it's challenging, but we're gonna make it work. We did this before, and this is another chance where we challenge ourselves and find new limits, and we need to do it the right way.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. I always hate, bringing up age and things like that, especially with the female audience, but you're a boy, so I can do this. So how old are you now, Mohammed?
I just turned 42 yesterday.
Oh man, happy birthday. I what a loser host here. I did not know that, everybody.
No, no, you're fine.
Happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you.
As of yesterday. Wow. Why did I not know that? Being your coach for, having been your coach 12 years ago, whatever. Happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you. Thank
42.
you.
Yeah, so 42 in Olympic, competing at the highest levels. That's on the back end of like the competition,
Yeah.
of you maybe you could do that at 46, but that'd be pretty hard to do. So like you said before, this is the last, as you say, the last hurrah, right? So it'll be interesting to see, to the audience here, what Mohammed decides to do, which is super exciting. Does he, we joked about, being an elite caliber athlete does not necessarily make you a elite caliber coach. It requires a little bit of discipline and sympathy and psychology and all the stuff that comes with it. It'll be interesting to see what you choose to do, but whatever you do, I'm sure it's going to be incredible. That said, let's take that. So 42 minus 8 years back to 2016. You were representing your homeland country of Morocco back then. And as I understand, and you can kind of go in more details because you got a better handle of me, but a Paralympic Paralympic triathlon was introduced
Yeah.
for the first time at that particular triathlon event, or that particular Olympics in Rio in 2016. You want to talk about, we're together 2011, 12. At that
Yeah.
point, I knew, and I wanted to tell a story when I can about you and my experience with you. Mohammed is a badass athlete, everybody. Let's just cut right to the chase.
Yeah.
You eventually made that transition in 2013. When did you know, hey, this is what I want to do? Triathlon's coming to the Olympics. How did that all come together? And then let's talk about, at that point, the actual event.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, like I fell in love with the sport, and I did Ironman distances. I did Zurich. I was like in on boats, sprint and long distance, and also Xterra. I love all this. Like, managed to go to Kona in 2014.
Yep.
Did Xterra here in California in Folsom Lake. I was just like going, it's a triathlon. Let's go. Let's do it. So, but then when when triathlon was officially added to the Paralympic Games and it was announced 2016, I said now it's time to start focusing on the real stuff. And um, back then I was a green card holder here in the US, so I was representing Morocco. And it was very hard because I had to go to Africa to race. We didn't have a triathlon federation in Morocco, so it was very like logistically administrative. Like it was very hard to go through different federation to get the entry to the games and all this stuff.
Wow.
So it was a headache. Yeah.
Who managed all that? Do you have a team? Do you have a manager right now? I mean, to help with the,
Well, back then, I was just trying to figure out myself and my wife.
you. It was just you and your
Yeah,
wife.
just doing this. Yeah, like trying to make it work. And luckily, like the year 2015, I joined this team. It's called the first um, triathlon team in the Middle East. It was called Alameda Triathlon, and back then they were trying to promote triathlon in the Arab world, and I joined that team. And luckily, it was a very good timing. 15, 16 helped me racing and qualifying for the games financially, be able to go out. You need to get point to go up the ranking to qualify to World Championship and then
Yeah.
qualify to the games.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky. I wanted this, I was training for it, and some things happened in the way. And even though there is struggle, we made it work. We got bronze there. It was a crazy experience. Like went there, I my eyes were on the games. Like the the race venue was like 3 hours from the Paralympic Village. And for me, because I was by myself, I just went directly to Copacabana where the venue is, and I
Yeah.
stayed there and just like looking at the race venue every day, swimming in Copacabana every day, and just getting ready. And it was a good day for me. I felt good. I was lucky, and everything was synced for that day to finish third. I was the underdog. I finished 3 months earlier. I finished sixth in World Championship, so I
Yeah.
was not like the
You were a dark horse. You were a dark
dark
horse, as they
horse.
say. Yeah. Shocked the world, my friend. Olympic bronze medalist, everybody. Olympic medalist right here. It's an amazing story. So again, I did not know that. So the Paralympic village was 3 damn hours away from
Yeah.
Copacabana. So
Yes, it was
yeah,
good.
you said screw that. I'm gonna get my own place and I'm gonna set up shop and I'm just gonna eat and absorb the venue every single day leading into race day.
Yes. Yeah.
Huge decision on your part. Smart decision to do
You
that.
don't want to waste 6 hours a day just going from venue to the.
And was so the family didn't come to see you race? They were not there.
No, no. So I don't know if you remember back then.
Yeah.
I am alive. My wife was so pissed. Back then was the
What?
Zika virus. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah.
So my wife, it's not, let's not take the risk. So they didn't
Yeah,
come.
the baby.
I have some friends who came to watch me, but I had no family with me back then. Hopefully in Paris, they all come.
Yeah, let's hope so.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so after that, came back home. The plan was just to start a professional career, like working and all this stuff. And I told my wife, let's go this time for the Team USA and try to make it work. And not just that, let's make it even better and go to Colorado and train there. So I convinced her. She quit her job. We left our home here in California and we
That's
moved
what
to
I
Colorado.
thought. Yeah, you moved to Colorado Springs. Yeah, we're talking about that. Yeah, so
So
you uprooted. Yeah,
yeah, I uprooted, went there and trained there. It was like one of the best 2 years in my life, like training in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Center with all the resource there.
yeah,
I mean, I mean, I will do it again. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
one of the best thing an athlete,
You are going to do it again.
but not
Yeah, 3 weeks away, 2 weeks away, you are doing it again. Yeah,
yeah,
let's talk about you made that line in the sand. You got your wife's approval. You made sacrifices. You went to the Olympic Training Center for the United States of America in Colorado Springs with the goal of racing in Tokyo.
yeah.
Then a goddamn pandemic happens.
Well, just
And
before
all kinds
that,
of, yeah,
yeah, before that, my category, like because the Paralympics we have different categories, and triathlon was a new sports. They didn't bring all the categories to the games because it costs a lot of money. So the second games they shuffled the categories, and my categories was not selected. And so and they did that like they announced it like 2 years from the games, and it was such a like disaster for me because we made a huge investment
yeah.
to go there. So and yeah, so that dream just got crushed to go with Team USA to Tokyo. And the pandemic happened, and we had another baby. We decided to come back home to California, and here we go, another time. Uh, it took 8 years to qualify to the games with the USA team, but so far it's everything is good.
Yeah, incredible journey. I know, huge disappointment. I was trying to be sensitive to that when we were talking about it there. I mean, just the sacrifice, everything like that, and just because of administrative decision making. And again, respect difficult decisions for them to make, but just the impacts when they make those decisions of people's lives that are so focused on trying to fulfill their dreams, right? And a little bit different situation you because you were able to fulfill your dreams, in Rio, but at the same time too, you and your wife, 2017 for Roshan, 2018, you both become U.S. citizens, right? So different focus at that point of like, okay, now U.S. citizens, red, white, and blue. I want to represent my new inherited or embraced country, and so you made that sacrifice with understanding that, and to have that be taken away from you not because of anything you did is hugely disappointing. That said, just knowing you as a competitive sob, that set you on fire, right, to say, okay, Paris is announced at that point probably. um I'm not getting any younger. Uh, you got Roshan in the corner. I don't know how you did that. I don't know if you had to liquor her up or whatever to get
She
her to
was,
say, okay, let's do this one more time. But it sounds like everything has worked out, almost perfectly for this scenario, right? Everything's come
yeah,
together.
coming because I stopped like for a couple of years. I was doing mainly cycling, and it was very hard to come back to triathlon, swimming, and running.
Yeah.
It took a year to like feel comfortable back, and yeah, last year was with my coach who was about to secure qualification as early as possible.
Yeah.
And I went to Colorado Springs for a month before the test event.
In Paris, test event in Paris,
Like,
everybody. Yeah.
and then we went there. I was like feeling good, ready to smash it, but literally like at 5 a.m. they send us like it was like 2 hours before the race. They send us like it's a duathlon. And when it switched from triathlon to duathlon, you don't get the qualification criteria. So it was just a race there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still had a good race there. I enjoyed it. And it's an amazing venue for the triathlon, para triathlon this year.
Yeah.
Really cool venue. Yeah. And then went back home, focus again for Pontevedra World Championship. And this is where I got my qualification, finished second. And yeah, it was a good
Incredible race.
yeah.
Yeah, just so the audience understands the heartbreaking thing, because again, me being a coach and kind of obsessed about the sport, like Mohamed is like they had the able-bodied professional athletes be able to successfully do the Paris test event in the water, literally the day before, I think, right?
Yes.
And then I'm like trying to get, because we're 8 hour time difference from Paris, right? Or 9 hours. And I'm trying to get the update. Like, well, how did Muhammad do? How did Muhammad do? And I'm like, wait, I'm trying to understand what's going on here. Where's the swim time?
Yeah.
They had canceled the swim the following day because of water conditions were not safe. And so it's just crazy because it's the Seine River. It's not like it's pristine Lake Tahoe, right? So yeah, I was moved to a duathlon, but the epic finish there, I tried to find the video of the finish there. Maybe we could
Yeah.
talk about going into that, but yeah, I mean, just a great experience just to know that you race the venue per se, less the swim, but now you know what to expect when you go out there in September, right?
Yes. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It's yeah, I mean, and then the qualifying that was at the World Championships. The World Championships was in Spain, is that
yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a phenomenal venue there. Great race, everything was good. Time zone difference, anything like that didn't affect you at all, right?
No, everything went well. We had a really good time. Race, I mean, yeah, yeah, it was really good. Well organized, and I had a good race. The run was very spectacular going through the neighborhood,
Yeah.
having everybody like screaming. And yeah, finished like 22nd from the world title. I was just like so bummed. Like it was the guy, the Frenchman was in front of me the whole 5K.
Yeah, well,
Like,
the challenge of that, let's talk about that. This is what I want to kind of move into sort of the tail end here. Let's talk about what to expect in Paris. I mean, unlike Rio, where you were a dark horse, it came out of nowhere and shocked the world. Mohammed shocking the world. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Not surprised to me, but shocked to the world, right? Now you're kind of a known commodity, and now you're also representing the red, white, and blue, right? So you got a little bit more of a bullseye, if you will, on your back there. But I remember seeing some of the events there. So your category is an interesting category because you've got birth defect. The leg is definitely a factor there because you have to have the prosthetic to be successful, not only for the running but obviously the biking too. But some of these other athletes, and I think that in particular the Frenchman, he's got his full legs there. He's got more of an issue with his arms, right?
yes.
So from the swimming standpoint, damn it, that's a competitive advantage for you, right? Maybe it nullifies and balances out on the bike, but then it comes down the run. He's got a little bit of advantage there. So you've got some competition, that you've got to overcome, right?
Yeah.
Strategically, right?
I mean, categories are kind of tricky for our sports. It's never going to be 100% fair, but
Yeah,
they're trying to like bring it as close as possible. But for triathlon is even more challenging because it's not just like the effort, there is also transition. Like for us, like transition takes longer than people who have their legs. It's faster and less effort for them to go swim, bike, and bike run. As for
yeah,
us, like, we need to change legs. You need to
Yep.
hop and all this stuff. So all these factors plays a role. And we try to not think about that in paras. It's part of parasport. It's just the nature. So we
Yep.
try to
Yep.
just. It was fun. It was fun sprint. I almost got him, but
Yeah, you did. Yeah, that was a great thing. I was like, come on, mom. Yeah, it was great. It just nipped it. But photo finished me, and I'm sure the crowd was going crazy there. But I'm sure that's something that you and Coach Derek thinking about, where do you need to push in, maybe burn a match or two to
yeah,
get ahead of your colleagues there. But, I have my notes here. So you mentioned that there's one of your fellow USA
yeah,
teammates that's a competitor for you that you have to think about. Again, train with your competitors just like you did with triathlon with Pac West, right? I brought in all these amazing male and female athletes that are all competing together, but what better way you train with your competitors, and you compliment and you hug each other at the end, whoever finishes in front of the other. You got the Frenchman plus another one. I think there's two Frenchmen that I
professional.
noted there. Someone from the Netherlands, some from Spain, and someone from Belgium. So, I mean, that's five, six people that you got to think about, right? And there's probably a few other Mohamed
Yeah,
2016 dark horse that you can't underestimate, right? So, I mean,
yeah.
how do you cope with that? I mean, your competition is. How do you cope with that? What's the strategy with you and Coach Derek? I mean, what are we doing here?
Well, yeah, like when you go at this level, when you qualify, everybody's training hard,
Yeah,
and you always tell yourself, I need to train hard, I need to train more.
yeah,
And I mean, also, like, you do all the training, all the work, but the race day, you always know that our sport evolve, bikes evolve, equipment. So you try to be calm, you try to manage the situation, and you be aware that things may go wrong, but do your best and go for it. Like, you just go, you try to control as much as you can.
yeah.
Whatever you can't control, you can't control. You just do your best. Yeah.
It's a veteran triathlete right there, speaking right there. Super, super excited. Yeah, I'm gonna end on one little note. I wanted to find out where I can insert this in, but it looks like it's going to be on the back end. So I want to share with the audience a story that I occasionally tell about you, Mohammed. When I was out there as a coach in my suburban, SAG meaning support and gear, which is the term for people that are helping cyclists along the way. And we had a training ride, a CAF training ride, which was integrated with my Pac West team. So I had able body and as well as I had, Mohammed and Creighton and Allen Shankin and those guys out there on a big bike ride in Marin County, so north of San Francisco across the Golden Gate Bridge. And it's called the Seven Sisters Ride, which is an epic ride up the shoulder of Mount Tamalpais, which is the big mountain up on in Marin County, overlooking the ocean. So the Seven Sisters is sometimes known as the Seven Bitches because it is a very hard climb. And we're I'm SAG supporting, and Mohammed is out there riding along with my other athletes, and he has this prosthetic leg that's adapted to his bike, and he's not having a good day. I don't know if you remember that day there. And suddenly, somewhere, I come around the corner, and there's Mohammed stopped off the side. I'm like, what's going on here? Because Mohammed's a badass athlete, and he pulls off the side. I pull off the side with Suburban, and he goes and he takes off his prosthetic leg, audience, and he says, Coach, it's just not working for me today. Can you just take this for me? And this is like, we're at like sisters number 2. There's like 5 more, which are even steeper pitches to go on this climb. A Pacific Ocean on the right shoulder, by the way, sheer cliffs down to the ocean. And I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? I'm holding on his prosthetic leg and I put it in the Suburban. He gets on his bike, everybody, and rides the remaining ride with his one leg up this climb and the rest of the climb. Do you remember that day?
I remember that day. Yeah.
Yeah, it was insane, everybody. It was super cool. And that's when I knew, okay, we've got, a badass in the making, let alone had I known that he would go on to become an Olympic bronze medalist and then eventually representing Team USA, going into the Paris Olympics this year. So just an incredible story, incredible athlete, incredible, $1 million smile, my friend. Just no one
Thank
has a
you.
better smile than you. Super proud of you. Excited for you and the family, Roshan. Congratulations on all your success, and wishing you and all of your Team USA teammates the best of luck. In September. On that note, any closing remarks you want to say to the audience before we close out?
Yeah, I always reflect, like, training with your squad, like with everybody's has a huge impact on me and my performance. So I always like, don't be afraid. Like if you see people out there with disability, like they also want to train, they want to get faster.
Yep.
Having that inclusion helps a lot, makes everyone better. So thank you for allowing that, and hopefully other people will do that.
Yeah, well, I'll be calling you post Olympics. Not gonna complicate things now, but you finish up in September, October, gives you some break. But yeah, I'd love to collaborate together, maybe do some coaching with me and finding some of the next Mohammeds out there in the world that have aspirations like, like you've been able to achieve, my friend. And obviously there's still work to be done. So I don't want to say things are done. You got some serious work in front of you, my friend, and kick ass out in Colorado Springs with Derek and the team. We'll be excited to see, ongoing posts, and you probably get a text from me every once in a while. I'm just making sure everything's okay. So appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. On that note, audience, once again, thanks for joining us for the Endurance Life 360, and Mohammed as sharing his story with us. So appreciate everybody. Have a great day. Peace out.